I'm going to be reading out an essay for you all today. I didn't even know his name. Tennessee's Partner, 1955. This was written by Santiago Gallego, although it's been translated by David Phelps into English. Tennessee's Partner counts among the series of 10 films that Allan Dwan filmed at the end of his career with producer Benedict Burgos for RKO, produced the year after what's probably Dwan's masterpiece, Silverlode, 1954. The shoot would reunite Burgos' master cinematographer John Alton, artistic director Van Nest, Polglaze, composer Louis Forbes, and costume designer Gwen Wakeling for a western that its director would sometimes call the favorite of his films. A statement which has the added merit of coming from a filmmaker whose oeuvre is so extensive, if often invisible, a good part of it having been lost forever. A filmmaker accustomed to filming quickly on shoestring budgets with little room for any vacillations or lack of professionalism connoting a clarity of ideas, a cleanness of expression, and an economical shoot, Dwan was a master when it came to filming serial movies without seeming to do so, but also without trying to hide it either, without inflating it into a pretense of what cinema, quite wrongly, is supposed to be. The end of his career at RKO weaves together such a web of ideas, his Rousseauian ideal of casting his heroes out of society, leading them to find rest in small populations and remote, untouched paradises, uncontaminated by the blind greed of the white man, with such aesthetic coherence that it would not be absurd to compare these films to the Renown cycle, which Bud Bedecker would film in the same years with Randolph Scott and producer Harry Joe Brown. Elizabeth Farnham's premises, Rhonda Fleming, dubbed the marriage market, are established as a refuge for the protagonists and the centre of the story, a space demarcated apart from a city full of businessmen and gold diggers eager to do whatever it takes to win a miserable stake in a new gold mine, men that nobody should turn their back on. Farnham's business promises young ladies, all able to cook, all desirous of finding decent husbands, and she earns her income from hostessing, politely termed, complemented by 10% of the winnings of her lover, the card shark and gunslinger played by John Payne. He calls her the Duchess, and she reciprocates with Tennessee. Neither do we ever come to know the real name of Cowpoke, Ronald Reagan, the miner who appears in town to retrieve his girlfriend Goldie Slater, Colleen Gray, for their marriage, but who, after intervening on behalf of the gambler, as one of the latter's rivals targets him in the back, finds himself having to kill the assailant. Afterwards, Tennessee will spend a not insignificant sum of money to get rid of his savior's girlfriend, in reality a gold digger already known to Tennessee who has been planning to ditch her naive lover after obtaining his $5,000 wedding gift. After Tennessee is accused of murdering Grubstake McNiven, Chubby Johnson, to keep possession of a gold mine that was recently discovered with his backing, the real assassin, Turner, Anthony Carasso, tries to knock off the gambler when the latter, upon the sheriff's arrival, turns around and leaves his back open to the killer, the moment that Cowpoke intercepts the path of the fatal bullet targeted at his friend and offers up his life for his friends. Tennessee's partner, the title subject, is in reality two people. On the one hand, the madame to whom he has both business and emotional ties, and on the other hand, the miner Cowpoke, who, besides having saved him at the beginning of the story, becomes a presence who introduces a sense of companionship and order, and even domestic concerns, into his solitary home, where Tennessee gives the miner refuge. Robin Wood would undoubtedly rub his hands together in glee at another example of a virile friendship that, as usual in the absence of any sexual fruition, is cemented by a punching match that serves as a demonstration between the two friends of how much they love each other deep down, even though social and personal repression would prevent them from expressing it in any other less violent form, and culminates with the sacrifice of one for the other in the kind of now abandoned world that would feed the imagination and delirium of filmmakers like Michael Elizabeth, Michelle, Camino. And although certainly the script by Crims, Beauchamp, Baker, and Sherman, taken from a public domain Bret Hart short story, offers roles for women throughout, especially just off screen and in Tennessee's past, it's clear that the character of Rhonda Fleming radiates modernity and independence, the same force of character and decisiveness so dear to the Hawksian women. This story of love and friendship between two men offers Dwan the chance to exhibit here the poetry of his dry lyricism, of his invisible style that is, nevertheless, tremendously effective at effacing any sense of interference between the camera and the actors. Dwan takes full advantage of superscope in shooting the first scene in the jail, a frontal medium shot filmed without a cut, in which Tennessee and Cowpoke cinch their bond through an elliptical dialogue in which they appraise their lives, while avoiding, as always in Dwan, anything superficial or incidental. It's the same quality possessed by the display of Cowpoke's corpse. I didn't even know his name, declares Tennessee before his dead body, and his subsequent funeral, filmed in a wide shot that maintains the feeling and intimacy of this elegiac moment and affirms the quiet virtues of an filmmaker indispensable for understanding not only the craft work of a professional, but also that a film is not its message, nor its actors, nor its production values, but its shots and how they relate to each other and the history of cinema.